Hello VOTOMS fans, if you watch my channel you can now just search my channel for VOTOMS. I have a whole bunch of these 1/48 scale Actic gear VOTOMS, and I think these might be the most advanced 1/48 scale mechas I've ever seen. It's not until you get into like Bandai Gundams that you get this kind of detail, you know, the ability for all the parts to move, for it to actually transform a little bit. But you have to get the real grade, or minimum, the high grade Gundams, which are much bigger. They're like 1/44 scale, but Gundams are massive robots in their fictional world. Whereas these are more like walking tanks, where a person would sit inside this guy. That's a long intro. Anyways, just look this up if you want. It's a Brutish dog Actic gear. And so I got the issue with this is, you know, as you can see by my hand, they're really small, but that also means the small parts are very fidgety, and since there's no glue holding most of this together, some of the parts fall off and stuff like that, so I've had to glue some parts on and stuff. So for playability, I decided to, get this 1/28 scale Marshy Dog by B2Five, the guys that make Acid Rain toys, and these are compatible with Acid Rain parts and stuff. And these are very well constructed, very well engineered, I think. I don't feel like I'm going to break anything when I'm posing this guy. I have since weathered this guy since I reviewed it. I added a bunch of paint wash, and then I just sprayed some dull coat rattle can stuff on there. So that's why it has a lot of white stuff, which is fine. I want it to look like a used robot. So I'm going to expand my collection a little bit today, and we're basically going to merge these two figures here to come into this thing. So we have the Brutish dog by B2Five. This is BV-W1-02. I'm gonna guess this is their second figure. In the first run they had this one, and then the regular scope dog, which I'm debating on getting or not. So in the VOTOMS universe, Chiroko Kyubi, the last robot I showed, the green one, he's the star of the cartoon series, and he and this girl here, Fyana, are like a couple. They're both perfect soldiers. I've been watching more and more of the cartoons. Okay, so that's a quick story of it all. Just looking over this box here. So we got the crouching down position. There's a little landing gear that comes out here, and so then the thing can open up and you can put the girl inside of it. Iron claw, some sort of backpack, and then here you can swap out parts from the Acid Rain or any other B2Five 1/28 scale stuff. I don't know if they make other stuff. Okay, I bought this off eBay, and there's still a bunch more out there on eBay. I don't know if this has been opened. It looks like that tape has been opened, but yeah, I don't care. As long as all the parts are in there. Okay, nothing else in the box. Well, we do have this, and then got this shell blister pack. Oh, what's going on here? There's some sort of warning here. Caution minifigures. Why is that? Okay, so they can all bend forward, but bending backwards, not a good idea. So I guess that's smart that they tell you that, because you do expect figures to bend back a little bit. Well, actually, real humans don't bend back like that, so it's actually realistic that they wouldn't bend back so much, unless you're a contortionist. So we got some tape here on the side. Tape on this side. Okay. Robot's just there. Female, the backpack, and an alternate head for the female, Fyana. Let's take a look at the instructions. And while they're here, you can look up VOTOMS Scope Dog versus Brutish Dog. Brutish Dog being one word, Scope Dog is a one word. And there's a scene of them fighting, and then they eventually fall in love, I guess. There's some sort of wooden box. Not wooden box, some sort of a box. Oh, I think it's to store the extra parts or something like that. So, fold that like this, and I'll fold that later. Okay. I know you guys don't want to watch me figure out how to fold a box. Alright, so it tells you how to transform to landing mode. You gotta basically flip the back thing up, stretch out the legs, bend them backwards, fold them forwards, and all that stuff. And the landing gear. You can buy some optional upgrade packs where they sell this round mover, which is like a jetpack. And then there's the arm punch feature, some cannons and stuff. Extensive shoulder movement, okay. Heavy machine gun press. Oh, there's a peg in the hand. Alright. Alright, so that's actually all nothing new to me, because I've been playing with the Scope Dog, Marshy Dog I have. Alright, so if you're unaware, you can always go to this website called the MAHQ, and they have a section on all the robots in VOTOMS, and they give all the specs. This thing is like 7 tons or something. And it tells a story here, you know, about this particular robot, what happens in the cartoon series. You can pause and read that, of course. Alright, so it's a little bit deformed. You know, it's not a realistic to the cartoon. The active gears are realistic to the cartoon. You see it's much taller and slender. Proportion-wise, this is a little bit deformed, a little squatter and fatter, which is fine. I like super deformed stuff. If you watch my channel, at least half my videos have to do with cartoonish looking things. Okay, so, and also for me it's all about the ability to move it without breaking it or having fear of breaking it. So very similar to the other one, the reticles here, they all spin around. They have nice clear lenses, this green and the red one. A little depth and detail behind the green one. It's a shame there's nothing behind this red one though, it's just a flat surface. Okay, and then this tri-lobe thing can actually slide in this slot here, but the slot isn't exposed because there's actually molded details up there, which maybe I can show later. Oh, I'm not sure if you can see that at that angle, but the back of the visor literally has some molded details there. Screen or a screen perhaps, and then the top of the helmet also has some gray plastic details there, and then even the underside of this red or pinkish is all, you know, detailed, so that's really cool. The head will also spin around, and then there's this antenna thing. I don't know, maybe it's not independent. It's not independent of the visor, so it's just, yeah, goes down when the visor goes up. Okay. So yeah, the cockpit opens, as you can see. It doesn't raise though, it up and open. It just is the hinge right there. And then the cockpit has nice paint details. Let's see if I can get some better light in there. And then this thing moves forward and back, so it'll be easier to put the figure in it. This doesn't rotate though. No, that doesn't rotate. There's also some color on that control panel, some red and white, right? And then some pipes and greeblies and more gadgetry or whatnot in there. This is the ratcheted shoulder joint here, so you see those teeth. That's what helps these things keep their pose. The seat is a different color, which is cool. It's got some cushion details. Alright, this does not open. And then a vent detail there, but that doesn't come off. Okay, so let's get into the shoulder. I guess we'll work our way down. Obviously you can see that's not going to close, so you gotta make sure that happens. Okay, so the shoulder, you can hopefully hear the ratcheting. So even when you hold a gun or something heavy, it'll hold its pose. Look at this, I'm holding the whole robot by its arm, so that's what's great about these things. Alright, so besides rotating, of course, and actually you can rotate it to a point where it comes out. I forget where it is though. There. So there's two little notches, very almost imperceptible, but yeah, and then two little slots. And so I guess all other B2Five toys have that same type of interface. So if you want to mix and match stuff, there are screws holding this torso together. Alright, so I gotta make sure that's in there. Okay. So the shoulder pad here is hinged, of course. You know, notice the plastic has like a swirliness to it. I'm not sure if they're actually literally mixing some black pellets in with the pink pellets when it's molded. That's the impression I get. I don't think that's black paint. I literally think that's black plastic that's swirled in with this pink plastic. It's a really interesting way for them to add a weathering effect. A really complex way to do so. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know, but it doesn't look like paint because you notice paint surfaces, right? All right, so it's nice that hides the upper shoulder. And then there's a hanging hook here because in the cartoon they fly them in off chains and stuff on helicopters. And then you can see here the elbow will go higher than 90 degrees. Let me back out here so you can see more of the figure. But you can also, there's a hinge here. There's a two steel, not cotter pins, but they're hinges. And so it gives you extra reach, basically. You can make it tight like that, or that extra reach, see, will literally lower the arm or give you, I guess the intention is to get it around the torso, see. Without that extra reach, it couldn't do so. If I just moved it back tight, that's as far as you can go, which is actually still pretty good, but obviously with a little extra reach, you can get a lot further. So granted, this character doesn't have two hands, so you're not going to hold a machine gun with two hands on this one, but on the green one you can do that. You can see there's a gray rotary swivel for the bicep area. Okay, and then the elbow, it's a double hinge, so that's the first part, and there's the second part back there. So now the forearm has the punch mechanism. See, you can pull it out a little bit. In the cartoon show, this is like charged with a cartridge, and it punches super fast and knocks other robots out, I guess. But that should free up a little extra room, so you can get a tighter bend, maybe. Let's see if it can. Double hinge, come on. Well, it's definitely more than 90. It's not quite 180, but it's a pretty good bend for something so blocky. So again, well engineered, B2Five. You guys are really thinking this through. This is a flappy little armor plate, and these tend to always fall off. Well, not always, but they fall off those active gears a lot. I've had to glue some in place. So the hand is a hinge of all things here. And I think the intention is for you can put a gun here and have it pointed in a certain way. But it looks a little unnatural like that, right? But if you maybe cover it with the armor plate, maybe it doesn't look so bad. I'm gonna guess you can mount some accessories into that hole there. And then the hand, we have two different finger pieces. The index finger is one piece, and then the remaining fingers are another piece. But the thumb does not move at all, which is kind of unfortunate. There's the peg that was in those instructions, and that mates to like a gun in the other robots. Obviously this guy doesn't have a separate gun because it's literally the other hand. You can look up the other video of the Marshy dog and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so nice tampo printing here, on both sides actually. I need to add some black paint into that thing. Alright, so now moving our way down, we got the hinge here for the hip pad. I think this comes off. Maybe? No. Maybe that's glued in place. No, I think you can push it out with that peg. and maybe interchange other parts from the other one. Okay, so here's the rear flap, and it's got some Sunrise. They own the VOTOMS franchise, I guess. This is made in 2019, so it's nice to know how old the toy is if you buy it used without the original packaging and later on down the line. More screws are holding it together, so very nice. It's definitely a well-constructed toy. So the side flaps, the back flap, and the front flaps all move up and down. Okay. So that gets into, well, the torso. I haven't finished that up. So the torso is going to spin, and I hear a ratcheting mechanism. So again, very, very rugged, you know. It's not a floppy model. It's a very rigid model, which is what you want in an action figure. You want to hold its pose. Okay, now, so the hip. The hip here has a hinge. I think there might be a screw holding those two together. I think so. And so this gray part here going into the crotch, you hear that ratchet? That's a crazy ratchet, but you know that's going to hold its pose. Here's that landing gear. I'm going to just put it down now. It's only a little bit, but I guess they put it there for a good reason. So then there's a thigh swivel, right? And now we're looking apparently at the back of the leg. So this is the hinge here for the knee. Okay, and then the kneecap itself. Ooh, that popped off. The kneecap itself, you can see there's a pin, so that thing is hinged also. Okay. Then you have another armor plate covering up the front of the foot. And then you can see down here, the foot has a hinge and then a ball. So you can get a lot of, and it pulls out, look at that. You can get a lot of movement out of this foot. A lot of posability, obviously. Totally unnatural poses. He broke his leg, actually. It's an Olympic accident or something. Alright. These wheels here do spin, but not this one. Or maybe that's not a wheel in the cartoon. Screwed together in the foot there, and then this little pin here should slide down. Yep. I think in the cartoon they use that pin to pivot around, you know, or perhaps grab surfaces. Alright, so that's the leg, the foot. Everything looks pretty good. There's no armor plate in the back of the foot, which is different from the Marshy dog. Now let's get to the machine gun side. So the upper arm's all the same stuff, but now we get to the hand, and yes, we have the cannon, the Gatling gun, but there's a spin. That's kind of weird. One would assume that would be a really easy part to make spin. Even on the tiny actic gear, the thing spins. So that's kind of crazy. I don't know if it's, see that screw? There's a screw in there. Possibly you could loosen that and it'll spin. Well, let me go back to those instructions. Oh, interesting. These are instructions for the scope dog. So they have the same instructions. One piece of paper for either the first releases. Or I'm crazy. No, I just thought this was the Brutish dog. I guess it's not. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. I am not an attentive person. Okay. Yeah, that's really weird. I'm gonna get a screwdriver. I want to loosen that a little bit and see what happens. Oh, that's the wrong size Phillips. No, I think I got it. No, I loosened it for sure. Yeah, that's really weak that thing doesn't spin. I mean, it's a Gatling gun. Alright, well, that's unfortunate. But the claw up here, it does pivot. Alright. Then here we have these cartridges that pop in to, I guess, feed the Gatling gun. Really tight fit there. That's not going to fall out by accident. No way. That's a super tight fit. So that's nice. Okay. Yeah, what a letdown, this thing. I also feel like they could have maybe molded these deeper so they look more like gun chambers instead. They're so shallow. I guess you need to add some black paint there. You could also probably take a drill bit if you're careful and drill those out. Okay. Let's take a look at this backpack thing. Alright, so this is what clips onto the back, and this thing is hinged. Yeah. And then there's a slot here for that secondary magazine. I actually heard it snap in. What happens if I put it in backwards? Oh. There's two little roundish molded features. I'm guessing you could paint those brass or gold, you know, and they mimic bullets or something. Alright. Nice. There's some printing back here, some sort of caution kind of warning. But the VOTOMS cartoons don't actually use English letters. They're like these fake imaginary alphabets, you know, kind of like Star Wars. So that's not actually supposed to read like English. So good enough details, I guess. Not much color variation in anything though, but it might be that way in the original cartoon. So on the back we have these two vertical things here, and that's what this is supposed to snap onto. Yeah, pretty positive click there. Yeah, there's just no way that's gonna fall off. So the reason why they hinged it is because when we get into crouching down mode and the pilot gets in, I guess this will help in the clearance. So I think that would be now a good segue to get into that. Alright, so we're going to lift up the back flap. We're going to click this back. You're going to just kind of pull this leg there. So it totally comes out. You see all these metal pins with the hinges, very strong, very nice. And then that foot comes down and out. I think it's supposed to be like that, or somewhere, something like that. Oh, I see. You gotta raise the backpack a little bit. Then you get a little more height, I think. Yeah, I got another click out of that. So essentially the thigh is touching that thing. And then this is just a friction fit here. Okay, so I gotta do the same on this side. Just pull this whole leg apart, wiggle it until it pulls apart. Oh, interesting, the thigh cut's diagonal. More articulation choices, I guess. Alright, so that came out. Then pull the foot down and out. I think actually, I forgot to mention, the foot armor here, this is also hinged right there. So you can actually, yeah, see how I move that up? So now I'm going to clip the thigh back as far as I can go. And bring the foot down. But move it back and up. So you can see that's why they added this tiny piece. There's a little bit of a height difference there. I almost feel like it would have been fine if they just made this crotch piece a little bit longer. But that's, I don't know, whatever. Alright, so that's why the backpack flips up like that. Okay, so with the thing down like that, we can open up the cockpit, and let's get into this little Fyana figure. So she's a tiny little figure, 1/28 scale. She's basically 7 centimeters tall. Maybe 1 millimeter lower. No, I'd say she's 7 centimeters. Pretty darn close to it at least. Or if you go by that silly measurement system they use in America. 2 and what is it? 2 and 7/8 or something? Yeah, so that's nice and easy to say. Okay. So there's an amazing amount of articulation in these little figures too. Unfortunately, not with this person's head because the the hair is, although flexible, not flexible enough. So she can't turn her head because it's literally hitting her back. But if we look at the eyes here, they're nicely painted. Right? There's actually pupils and an eyeball. It's not just like a white shape. There's a little brown for lashes and stuff, a little pink, red for her lips. So let's take that off. There's a little ball thing here. And then let's look at this piloted mask here. So she's wearing goggles, and there's some sort of dark maroon visor. Alright, and so this ball joint here, I'm wondering, nope, the bottom is not hinged. So it's just, this ball peg is part of this back, I think. But anyways, this just pops on. So now, side to side, front, back, spin obviously, so good articulation there. This pink shoulder thing is pretty flexible, and it carries down to the belt. But the belt seems to be, I think, glued in place. You can see it's got some hinge joints. They look like Revoltech joints, actually. Alright, so you can get that, and then there's probably a pin, yeah, going into the torso, so you can get any pose there. And then the bicep also spins around. And then you see the hinge here just fell apart. And then there's a cut here in the forearm, which actually is the hand as well. Yeah, so, okay. So down, up, yeah. Although that's a bit loose. I do feel like it would be nice if that peg was a little bit thicker, or some sort of different way to keep that thing from falling apart. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, as the warning said, you can do an ab crunch forward. There's a metal pin, but don't go back. So that's it for back. But forward, you can get a decent 20, 30 degrees there. You can see that's floating, this little piece here. Interesting. Alright, so the thigh here, we got a peg with a ball on the end, and so that can rotate around, and then we have a rotary hinge there in the upper thigh, and then a flat hinge for the knee, and then the foot, I think it's the ball peg system, right? So, okay. So it doesn't actually look very humanoid, like by realistic proportions. It looks like a odd plastic surgery kind of girl. Like that's been augmented with a lot of silicone, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, granted this is a cartoon, but I don't think in the cartoon she looked quite like this. She looks a little too squat here. But again, this is a deformed figure, so they, I guess, maybe deformed her as well. Her proportions are a lot squatter, and that's what, I guess it was intentional. Alright, so I'm going to just get her legs up here, and you can see her little pouches here flex out of the way. It's interesting, there's a hole in the back of her. Not sure what that would be for. Alright. I'm trying to get her legs in the bent position, but also splayed out because I got to get her around that control mechanism. Well, I guess maybe like that. I feel like this part of the leg is colliding with the crotch there. It doesn't want to, like, I can't get the leg any higher than this. I also feel like it looks like it might be cracked. Strange. Well, we'll have to see if it'll get in like this alone. Ah, boy, see this arm again. It's very annoying. Put her arms in the up position, bring them down after. Yeah, so I feel like her legs want to go up more. See? Well, let's try. We'll move the controls forward. legs need to be spread out more to get around that center part of the control panel. You can see here, I'm trying to get her feet. Well, they are almost touching the front, so the Chirico, the guy figure, didn't have this problem. He pretty much went in quite easily. I don't know why this girl is having issues. Yeah, that's an issue. It's colliding. So I can't splay her legs out and have her knee much higher. That's as high as I can go with her knee, but it's very inbound. If I swing her knee outwards, it brings it downwards. See how down it is now? But if I bring it inwards, it goes up, right? So this is unfortunately a poorly designed figure, which is really weird because it looks almost identical to the male figure. And then her knee cap is like splitting apart because I can't get her in there. Okay, hold on. Maybe I have to move that control mechanism more forward now. No. See, it's just a really problematic thing here. Oh, now her leg just fell off. Wow, so this is not good. I don't know if the other reviewers had this same issue. It's almost like you want to take a Dremel and Dremel out part of the plastic up there. Or maybe this just wasn't molded properly, like it didn't cool down properly. Because I really need to get that leg higher up, but also splayed out. This side seems okay. See? But this side will not. Well, let's see. Okay, well, yeah, I guess this is gonna work. Get her hands on the controls. Okay, so never mind. I guess I did get it to work, but well, there, her arm fell off again, so that's a problem. I can do that later. All right, so there she is in the cockpit, and now we can bring this down. All right, so now you can see her in through that opening. Let me get a flashlight. Yeah, so there you go. So she does fit in there. Unfortunately, her arm on mine doesn't really want to stay put so much. I'm not noticing there's some yellow warning tags there and there, here. One on the armor plate there. On the back, really not much, only on that backpack. Alright. This kneecap forward. Yeah, so she does crouch down. Well, the robot crouches down pretty well. Yeah, good enough. Cool. So actually, let me get the other one out. The Chirico and the Marshy dog. See, he didn't have a problem getting in there. I've never had an issue. He didn't fall apart or anything because there's no tension. Although he is really hunchbacked in there. Okay. Alright, well, I get a new pose here. Hold on a second. So one other thing I noticed here is the abdomen here will actually pivot a little bit forward. So that helps. And so check this out. Like, this thing will literally balance on one foot because the joints are so rigid. It won't. Look at that. That's what makes this B2Five company so good. That's really impressive. Like, it looks like it's been shot and falling backwards, right? Alright, let me try to get a nice little battle scene or something. Alright, so I've noticed in my posing that this here is a cut. So that will spin this part of the arm. And you can see that hinged hand will help you try to grab the magazine there. Alright, so that is helpful for sure. Okay, so that's a little battle scene right there. Pretty neat. Yeah, I mean, yeah, these joints are so good that you can balance all of this heavy. It's a pretty heavy toy. Yeah, all in one foot, right? So that's a good, strong ankle joint. Right, so ratcheting stuff. Good stuff. Okay, let's get this thing spinning on its own. Alright, B2Five, I gotta say, you put together a fine toy. This is an actual posable toy. Only time will tell if it'll stand up to, repeated reposing, and will those plastic joints eventually wear out? I don't know. But for now, this is really awesome. The fact that you can balance on just one foot, and actually hold the pose is what really gets me going. Look at this. I mean, there's not much rattling and wiggling. I guess it would be right there in those metal hinge points there. So you will have to balance it there. You can squeeze that down. Alright. Okay. Well, anyways, I'm going to order that tortoise. I think it's called either a snapping turtle or a standing tortoise or something like that. So I'll get that one, and then perhaps even I'll go back and get the original release of the regular Scope Dog. Thank you guys for watching today. Try to get on VOTOMS. It's a decent show, actually. I've watched several episodes now, and I like it. It's pretty good. It's written for adults. People do die in this cartoon. Yeah, it's not like G.I. Joe where everyone parachutes out of the airplane before it crashes. Okay, well, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next VOTOMS video. Bye now.